All kinds of developments today. Consider that Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders has announced she's not going to leave after 2 years on the job, although she hasn't been busy on the press briefing side lately. It's been 94 days since the last press briefing. It's actually the longest stretch in modern history. Meanwhile, an independent ethics office in the federal government is telling the president that the ethical thing to do at this point, based on some violations, is to fire Kellyanne Conway. This is the Office of Special Counsel, which is an ethics group. They're saying basically she should be, quote, removed from public service because of these violations of this ethics law, the Hatch Act, which prohibits her from using her government power while you pay her salary with your tax dollars to endorse or attack political candidates, a rule that makes some sense. But it's something she has done a lot this year.
If he were a Republican running against him, they would immediately call him a sexist. I'm yet to see presidential timber. I just see a bunch of presidential wood chips. Amy Klobuchar, who seems to be a very nice person, I guess, unless you're on her staff. Elizabeth Warren's running for president. She tried to appropriate somebody else's ethnicity.
A lot of fire there. The point isn't that Kellyanne Conway doesn't have the right to say these things. The ethics office is just saying she has to say them in a political capacity, not being paid by you. Consider also that a month after Trump was inaugurated, she was separately rebuked, a different issue, using the White House platform to plug Ivanka Trump's clothing line on Fox News.
I think she's gone from 800 stores to 1,000 stores or 1,000 places where you can buy. You can certainly buy her goods online. Go buy Ivanka's stuff is what I would tell you. I hate shopping. I'm going to go get some on myself today.
There is that hashtag buy Ivanka right now.
I'm joined by political commentator and activist Sally Kohn and TheRoot.com's Jason Johnson. And while there's no law that I'm aware of that prevents either of you from plugging apparel right now in this news segment, I would ask you not to, unless you got something really good.
I mean, I'm good on that.
You're good on that? Jason, are you good on that?
I'm good. I'm good.
Right, well, look,
I'm straight.
We start out with an agreement. Cool. Sally, make sense of it for us, please.
I can't. I mean, look, Kellyanne Conway first blew our minds with the concept of alternative facts, and now she's taken a next step, and she's got alternative laws. I mean, it is very clear that this is an administration, and we've talked about it all day today, several instances, even in your show so far, of an administration that knowingly, willfully, they know the law, and they're saying it doesn't apply to us. By the way, this is not the first time Kellyanne Conway has had a warning about the Hatch Act, an 80-year-old law that has applied to all parties that she certainly has known about. In fact, in May, she was rebuked by reporters, asked about it, and she literally said, blah, 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 show me the jail cell. She boasted about flaunting this law. So this has gone overboard. And, of course, we're going to see a president who himself has shown he doesn't care about the law, so he's not going to do the right thing, and there won't be any accountability.
And your work, originally as an activist and as a writer, has been to push things and to say, this is not okay, right? What do you say to people who look at this and say, okay, but is she just getting away with it? And the president is not only not moved by this, I think they've made it pretty clear. They've telegraphed they're going to hold her longer because they don't want anyone to think they're overreacting to over-responding to the ethics office. Just let that sentence resonate. And
where he appointed the people who run it. I mean, let's be clear.
And yet the reason why this is not okay is that we don't have a public government that can just be hijacked for political purposes. That's why you have a Hatch Act.
Well, there's two separate layers, honestly, where I'm outraged. I'm sort of the functional democracy, basic rules that we hope we all agree on, whatever our beliefs or views or ideology.
Is that the lower layer?
That's out the door.
That's like the bean layer,
this other
and then
layer
is there
that
like
really
a cheese on top of it?
I mean, that's like the heart or the head, and then in my heart, I'm like the other part that really flames my jets about this, to use the TV appropriate PG-13 version.
BPG.
Is here you have a president and an administration that ran on a Nixonian, law and order, super racial dog whistle term saying we're going to crack down on people who break the law. And for instance, let's pick the example at the border. They used the excuse. They said that law-abiding
it's about the law, it's about
seekers,
the rules. Yeah.
people who are following the law and seeking asylum, they accused them of breaking the law in order to separate people from their families and lock kids in cages. Meanwhile, that same administration, supposedly upholding the law, is breaking the few laws that apply to them.
And it's so interesting you raised that. Jason, Chris Hayes has a new article out making a similar point about the abuse of the invocation of law and order. I wonder if you want to respond to any of that, as well as if you want, Sally's ethics bean dip, or the different layers of concern about this?
You know, I want a little cheese on the top. I'm just going to add some cheese here, some tomatoes.
Is it government cheese, though?
Right. It's not government cheese.
Okay.
We couldn't trust it because of the violation of a certain act. So here's the thing. This is what bothers me about this and the way in which this entire administration is approached. Points for the Office of Special Counsel. They're doing their job. It's very obvious Kellyanne Conway violates the Hatch Act. But this is sort of like catching an axe murderer for like a speeding ticket, right? This administration does so many horrible things that the Democratic Party and other outside forces have not been aggressive enough to hold them accountable on. Everybody violates the Hatch Act. Castro violated the Hatch Act. Kathleen Sebelius violated the Hatch Act. The entire Office of Office of Special Politics, whatever, in the Bush administration violated the Hatch Act. This is the most normal violation of law that I think anyone in this administration
Jason Johnson with
in.
the hot take that other people do it. I mean, okay,
Yeah.
my question to you then would be, okay, and isn't it wrong when other people, whoever they may be, again, are taking something that most people don't get, which is a big, powerful job, in this case at the White House, tax dollars funding your life, and what do they have to do to operate at that higher obligation?
Well, look, obviously she should, but the concern that I have is if this is the reason that you want to get rid of Kellyanne Conway, then Democrats need to be more aggressive. This woman has conspired to lie to the public. She is engaged in all sorts of malfeasance. We have no other idea what other sort of unethical behavior she's helped hide or continue to obfuscate her and in assistance to Sarah Huckabee Sanders. This is the least egregious thing anyone in this administration has done.
I have
That's
to fit in a break, but I can tell Sally's not completely into what you're saying. And the reason I can tell is I'm looking at her face.
Well, I mean, listen, let's just
go.
Yeah, well, I mean, more complaints under this ethics office have been lobbed against the Trump administration in the first year than 8 years of the entire Obama administration. And by God, it's like saying all politicians stretch the truth. That's true, but it doesn't mean that the flagrant lying of this part of this administration is more wrong. And this is wrong.
Sally
too.
coming back
Just
with,
all wrong.
as a Canadian Jewish musician once said, "What's that?" Facts. Sally with some facts. So I think both of you have interesting parts of the argument, which is why we like to hear all kinds of perspectives. Facts, not alternative kinds, though.
I miss them.
It wouldn't. It doesn't. The verse, that Drake verse, doesn't work as well if you said, "What's that?" Alternative facts. It would take too long. Sally, Jason, thanks for putting up with me. Thanks for being here.
Pleasure.
Thanks, Ari.
We have a lot in the show, which is